Welcome to another episode of Coffee with Coaches. This is a special summer and assistant coach edition. I'm Zach Mitchell, and with me is CCC men's basketball assistant, RA, and probably about 8 other jobs you got on your job list. Justin Tabor, how's it going, man?
Good, man. How are you today?
I'm waking up.
I hear that, man.
We did. I scheduled
Monday.
I scheduled this too early in the morning, man. 3 o'clock is my time to shine.
I hear you.
But today I want to get to know. We got a lot of talented teams, athletes, and coaches on this staff, on this campus, and I wanted to kind of talk to you about your personal journey because this small community in Southeast Kansas, we get people from everywhere, but I don't know that we've ever had anybody from New Mexico state area in the last few years, and that's where you've recently graduated from, and you've spent a year now under Jay Herkelman here in Coffeyville, so correct. I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about how you got to Coffeyville and all that good stuff. So, okay. So can you tell us a little bit about, again, I just mentioned you're from New Mexico State, but kind of how you got here, where you're from, just kind of give us a little bit. Well, give us the Wikipedia summary about you.
Got you. Well, where I'm from Los Angeles, California. Was born in Inglewood, California. Got some family over there. That's what kind of grew up, Compton area as well. Kind of grew up. That was where I, grew as a young kid and got to see some. It was rough, but with good parenting from my mother, my father, my grandfather, they raised me to be the right kid, to do the right things, and maintain my respect, and always, always be mindful of how you talk to people and the relationships you establish with other people. After that, moved up about 40 minutes away from Los Angeles, called Santa Clarita for a school district. Went to Golden Valley High School, class of 2010. What's crazy is at high school, I didn't do the traditional research in regards to applying for schools. I didn't do it the right way. My mom was always, it was a tug of war during that time coming out of my senior year, man, especially with senioritis kicking in. Woo. Like me and my mom were really battling. And so I remember my junior year or my senior year, a health teacher had a New Mexico State softball poster in her office, and I don't know, that just stuck in my head as places to apply, because I knew coming out of high school, even before high school, man, I knew I wanted to get away, experience something different, get a culture shock outside of Los Angeles. And when time came applying for schools, I definitely applied to New Mexico State. Now there was some other schools too: Long Beach State, San Jose State, and Sacramento State.
Those are all good ones.
Yeah, but I wasn't accepted. So February came around, I got that letter in from New Mexico State, and I got accepted. And a couple weeks later, I went to visit an uncle of mine, Donald Threet, and his daughter and my mom are really, really close. And they went to UCLA together. And what's crazy is I went to go see him and told him, hey, I played basketball. I knew I wasn't the most talented kid. That's fine. But, my senior year, I knew that I wanted to get into coaching and be a right fit. And I'm telling him this as we're speaking. He's calling the coach at the time, Marvin Menzies, on the spot for me. Like, hey, I got my nephew coming out there. I need you to take care of him. I don't know if he could play for you, but I think he'd be interested in pursuing a coaching career. This is him. I'm like, oh, right on the spot, hand me the phone. I'm like talking to a Division I head coach. I'm like chopping up with the coach, and sure enough, I went out there for a new student registration, and come to find out, my uncle used to coach Coach Menzies back in high school, and I think it was football and track. And then Coach Menzies went to UCLA with my mom and a couple of my aunts. He didn't know my mom like that, but he knew some of my aunts for sure. And then got to campus, man, and it all worked out to where I could be a manager and be a manager for the program for 5 years, man.
That's crazy.
Yeah, doing things that required 7-8 managers where I was just by myself. There was one more manager at the time named Jose, and we were just grinding away. And then as the years progressed, being there, I started doing more recruiting, getting more managers. Went from just me or 2 guys to about 7, 8, 9 other managers that I was in charge of. And then once I graduated from New Mexico State with a bachelor's in kinesiology, Coach Menzies said, he was going to keep me along as a grad assistant. And then after that, he left. That year after my first year as a grad assistant, he left, took the job at UNLV, and we hired within Paul Weir, head assistant during the time, and we had a really successful year that year, 28-6, and got to finish up my grad assistant position. And then he took a new job at University of New Mexico, and this is where the tie comes in between Coffeyville and New Mexico State. Well, the new coach that came in was associate head coach Chris Jans from Wichita State.
Yep.
And got the chance to meet and work with him about a month and a half, maybe 2 months, maybe even a little more. And he really liked my work ethic. I mean, I wanted to stay, but nothing personal at all. Most guys that come in, get a new job, they want to bring in guys that they know, that they feel more comfortable with. And what I'm really grateful for, especially during that time, because I had lost my father from leukemia, he helped me. He called Coach Herkelman for me. And sure enough, I get a phone call and, go through the interview process with Coach Herkelman and for this position. And next day, or not the next day, maybe in a week or two, I get a call. He's like, "So do you want the job?" I'm like, "Yes, you got it." Sure enough, I'm out here as a Coffeyville Red Raven.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, man, it's crazy how it all worked out, especially from the standpoint of me not doing my research as a kid at high school.
Yeah, you went from, and just so you know, like, I graduated 2010, so it's nice to have somebody else.
Hey,
there.
2010, there we go.
But it's crazy. You can go from not knowing, not really having a plan. It sounds like you didn't really have a plan.
Not really,
to really a lot of success. I mean, you mentioned, some people aren't going to they're going to not really understand how much work a manager does. We might talk about it a little bit. You mentioned you were like you were one other person were the only managers for a Division I men's basketball team at a good program, a good school in the Mountain West Conference. That's a good league, right?
West
Coast. That's right. So yes, I don't know anything.
You're fine. They used to be the Mountain West, I think. Or maybe the Big West. Excuse me.
Yeah, but that's a good conference, and that's tough. There's a lot you have to do behind the scenes that you normally don't really get credit for. I mean, the coaches might say something once in a while, but it's like nobody really thinks about managers.
Right, man.
And to do that for years.
Mm-hmm. It's tough, man, because a lot of people, they want to feel, a part of the team, or a lot of guys that do the manager role want to get their foot in the door in regards to trying out and making the team. It doesn't usually pan out that way. Maybe a couple players have done that, but usually it just doesn't pan out that way. They really can't. Once the going gets tough in regards to having to do laundry, having players talk to you kind of crazy, or dealing with the egos, or the everyday grind, showing up for practice, being in the office, being there for the staff. Fundraising events, community service events.
Well, also staying eligible, just getting your grades
right.
right.
Absolutely. That is another issue, too, that a couple managers during my time just couldn't balance it out. And they can't juggle both lifestyles, or they don't want to, because they don't, man, I'm not no water boy. It's not being a water boy.
Right.
It's not being a water boy. It's paying your dues, doing the dirty work, because everyone has to start somewhere.
Well, it sounds like you're a perfect fit for just getting that's a perfect way to get ready for coaching.
Oh, absolutely. Manager, I've read, I maybe, don't quote me on this, but I thought I read, I think Lawrence Frank, assistant coach with the Clippers. I don't know if he's still there now. Former Nets coach when Jason Kidd was under.
Right, yeah.
I think he was a manager. Frank Vogel for the Orlando Magic. I think he just recently got fired, but he was a manager for Kentucky, I believe, back in the 90s.
And I don't want to take it. I think Eric Spoelstra was a video coordinator, which is a manager
at Portland.
position.
Yeah. I mean, and that was a lot of in regards to the video coordinating position. That was a lot I did 2 years ago at New Mexico State, working with a guy, Jordan Spurrier, the analytical guru, I like to say, man. Very smart guy, man. I was kind of like his assistant in regards to video stuff and just breaking down film, helping him with scouting reports. So that kind of helped me in regards to getting ready for this position here, where here I was, I was out on the road recruiting, something I didn't do. That wasn't my role at New Mexico State. Now I'm here on the road driving 3 hours, 2.5 hours, 4 hours to go see a recruit. Now I'm also preparing a scouting report for the staff, for the players, something I did a little bit of it at New Mexico State my last year as a grad assistant, but now I'm more hands-on where I have to sit down and really analyze, offensively what this player does, what this other player does, what they do defensively as a team, offensively, and kind of put it in a way for the player to kind of understand it, and a coach can understand it too. So I'm loving it here, man. It's been a really good year here. I mean, especially after that first year, going 29-5. It's
not a bad way to start.
Not at all, man. Not at all. I mean, I like to say it's luck, man, but luck is also when opportunity meets preparation. So
you get to make your own luck at sometimes.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So it was a really good year working for a Hall of Fame coach named Jay Herkelman. I did my research before getting the job, and I'm like, yo, this guy is big time, very big time. And it was an honor being a part of his staff this year, especially for this year being the year he gets inducted to Hall of Fame, having his 2002 team, who he was very close with, come in and talk to the kids and be there for the game against Hutch. TJ hits that game-winning shot.
It was a pretty good day.
Exactly.
It was not a
bad
weekend.
it was a really good, his 600th win. I mean, it was a really good year, 17-game winning streak. Yeah, it was a really good year, man.
So it seems that in your time in college and as a grad assistant working for New Mexico State really gave you the proper taste of what you would need to do at this level.
Absolutely.
But really, it just sounds like you kind of figured out what you were good at and what you wanted to do, and then you just jumped on it 100%.
Yeah, man. I mean, everybody wants to be a ball player, man. Everybody does. Trust me, it ran through my mind.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
It ran through my mind, but I just felt there was another avenue behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Take the scenic route. So I hopped on it. I hopped on it immediately, and I got to think that I had a lot of influences, in regards to, basketball and sports. Really, my father for sure. He was a football guy. Played at Morningside High School in Inglewood. Went JUCO route as well, Santa Monica College, and then went on to play at UNLV. I just, football wasn't my thing, but basketball, I fell in love with it as a kid, man. All the way from the second grade all the way till now. And one big influence was my high school coach, one of my high school coaches, JV coach Larry Keys. I mean, played a pivotal role in my decision to really pursue a coaching career, because the way he connected with the players, the way he talked to them, the way he got guys to buy in, I soaked it all in. I just felt, man, I love the way he coaches, and I think this would be the right fit for me is to pursue my coaching career. So I definitely got to give a big thanks to Larry Keys for that.
When you find the thing that makes you feel at home, you don't want to be anywhere else. Like that kind of career path, that place in life, it is kind of cool.
Right.
And I think a lot of people, I think especially high school kids, they love being in athletics, and so they're like, well, I want to be a coach because I want to stay in athletics. And really, I think a big part of being a coach isn't athletics; it's being in leadership and being in hard work and showing people. I'm not here to teach you how to make a layup. I'm here to teach you how to do the work that'll help you in life after you're done making layups.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Preparing your life after the game. I mean, it's investing in yourself and taking pride and showing discipline outside the basketball court, because life ain't just about basketball, man. I mean, I've seen so many guys that are so caught up in the game that it affects them as a person. It affects what they're really trying to teach the players at the time. So, that's one thing when it comes time for me, and nowhere close yet. When it comes time for me to be a head coach and I want to be somewhere where I'm happy, where my family is top priority and my family's happy, and where I'm in the right position where I can either, if I'm a head assistant working for a great coach who's in a winning program, or I'm a head coach where I'm in an opportunity to really change a program or be in a program where I can, win. Yep. So it doesn't have to be D1. Everybody wants to be D1. Trust me, I want to be back at D1 at some point. But I'd rather be somewhere where I'm happy where I feel comfortable, where I can keep winning, where my family is okay. So, yeah, man.
Seems like Coach Herc's rubbing off on you then.
Yeah, man. No question.
That's his story,
exactly right. I think he definitely played a part in that with this first year. I mean, being here for 23 years, I'm sure he's had numerous phone calls about head coaching jobs. I'm most certain he has. I'm not for sure which ones, but I know for sure.
Probably more than a couple.
Exactly. So, just seeing that and seeing how well connected his family is, and how, I mean, one thing I will say about his family, and I haven't seen this a lot. A lot of family have little girls or kids that go to games and don't really soak in and watch the games. They're usually running around, having fun. Nah, those girls and his wife, they're all invested in watching the game. Hackling the refs as well. Like I love it, man.
They know hoops a little bit.
Exactly, they definitely know the game. So getting a taste of that from a family perspective, I definitely want to be somewhere where I can be happy and my family's happy as well.
Well, so you said you did some research on Coach Herkelman. Did you do any research on the town of Coffeyville or CCC itself?
Yeah.
Not a lot of information out there.
It wasn't a lot. I knew, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I read that this town was named after a coin flip between two guys. I can't remember their names. It was something Coffeyville and another guy.
I don't know about that. I know that there was a guy who opened up a store, a general store on this route, right? Because this is Old West times.
Got it.
And his name was Coffey. But he might have owned the business with somebody else, and that's where the coin flip came from. I think that's where it is. Now you're talking about stuff that I was supposed to remember in second grade. So now, us 2010 graduates, I can't go back that far, man.
Got you. I did read that they
sounds about right.
There was a flooding back.
Yep.
I can't remember what year it was, but
2006.
Gotcha. Yeah, that really affected this town. I read that, and my mom even reminded me about that. She knew about that before I did the research. And I did some research. I know there wasn't a lot of people out here, and it was a small town. But to be honest, man, that's okay with me. I mean, I am okay with it. Getting to soak in the different environments, different cultures in different towns, different cities. It humbles you in a way. So I definitely wanted to experience that. So
yeah, it's quiet.
Definitely.
And we get guys. I mean, Coach Herc's a good recruiter. I mean, we bring in people from just when I was a student here, Chicago, New Orleans, and the thing they always say is you can hear yourself think, because some of those big cities, it's just too fast. And I would know the biggest city I've ever lived in would be Pittsburgh, Kansas, which doesn't count. It counts about 20,000 people. It's not even a city; it's a village compared to LA. But
I got you.
It's just one of those things of here. I think you get to find yourself a little bit, or you've already kind of know who you are, and you get to build on yourself. So for me, I got to grow up. I got to figure out this whole broadcast thing and everything like that. But and that's kind of where I wanted to be a part of athletics, but I'm not a coach or anything like that.
No,
so,
I understand.
So
but you were kids at a young age, they want to be around athletics somehow, some way, and you found your avenue. So
yeah, I just got to call games, and actually, and we'll talk a little bit about what it's like to work for Coach Herkelman. I want to say, being the guy broadcasting for Jay Herkelman he was a part, and indirectly a part of one of the toughest games I've ever had to call, because I think it was my sophomore year. And I don't believe the official's ever been back, but he got tossed in a game for bogus reasons. It was a joke. The ref tossed him, so if you get tossed, you can't coach the next game. And so it was a home game, so he had to stay at home. He couldn't even be in the building when the game was going on. And so his oldest daughter, Abby Herkelman, which I think she was a senior in high school at the time. So I mean, you talk about, and she's competitive. I think she played volleyball here, and she's at Kansas State, I think, now. But she came up to me an hour before the game. She's like, "Dad's watching at home," and I'm like, "Oh, great," because I'm calling the game, and I'm like, "How?" And it's weird when you got a guy who's, I mean, at the time we knew he's going to be a Hall of Famer. right? And now he is a Hall of Famer sitting at home watching your stuff. And you're just like, I'm sitting here like, that's it. My career's over with. I messed up one time. And I think he saw me like a couple days later at like a grocery store. Somebody said I did a good job. I don't think I did. He was just being nice. But it's something that, I mean, what's it like working? You mentioned a little bit, you've been working for Kyle Fisher, the assistant coach, a wonderful assistant coach.
Oh, no question.
What's that coaching staff like?
It's really fun, man. I mean, you know, we enjoy each other's company. We definitely, you know, play little games here, you know, bet, you know, amongst the players, just, you know, see who's gonna show up today, who's gonna be the guy, who's gonna, you know, show out in practice today. Just, you know, have a little competitive game in the office, and they're really laid back, man. I mean, they're laid back, but at the same time, they work hard. They have a good balance of doing that, where they're not, you know, other places I've been at where it's just, you know, you're grinding 80 hours in the office, man. I mean, I probably averaged that my last year at New Mexico State, 80 hours in the office, and while having a side job and working on my master's. So, yeah, it was tough. It was definitely a test for me, no question. But working for these guys, it's been fun, man. I mean, being this premier program, you know, Coach Herkelman really knows how to get these guys to buy in. I mean, he sets the tone early, he sets expectations, and he has 3 rules. You know, be where you're supposed to be, act right, and be on time.
Do you have you stolen that in your life? Because it seems like you were already kind of on that anyways. But do you take that and put it into your own life?
No question. Yeah, no question. I mean, my father was big on being on time, you know, dressing appropriate, playing the part. Yes, sir, no, sir. You know, holding yourself accountable. Don't embarrass yourself. So I see some of that over the course that I've been, you know, in this profession. I see that I hear my father's voice sometimes from other coaches saying certain things a certain way. I'm like, that's my father's voice. Yeah. Same with my mom. Somebody says something, I hear my mom's voice right now. But I definitely take all that in and apply that to myself and apply that to even my friends sometimes. Some friends that, you know, struggle with, you know, figuring out their niche, figuring out, you know, man, what am I going to do? You know, just helping them trying to, you know, figure out what they're trying to do. So I definitely apply everything that I learn, no matter what it is, to my everyday life. Yeah. But, you know, back to Coach Herkelman, he knows how to, you got to get these guys to buy in and really accept what he's teaching. Now, trust me, there's going to be some times, guys, that, you know, there's going to be a little tug of war. That's everywhere, no matter what. But they respect him, and he respects them too. He doesn't overstep his boundaries. They don't overstep their boundaries. If he does, and it's not all the time, he knows how to get these guys to buy in, because you see a change, especially, you know, prime example was based off what these guys were telling me, TJ Washington. I mean, was very immature when he first got here. And, you know, last year, Coach Fisher and Coach Herkelman said he really took a step forward. And I could definitely, based off what they were telling me and having that full year with TJ, he definitely grew. Marvin Johnson, first semester, was really rough for him, just in regards to discipline.
Which it is for a lot of freshmen.
Yeah, a lot of them, because they're coming from different backgrounds and different lifestyles where they didn't really have I wouldn't say a father figure, but someone to kind of give them some structure and discipline.
Well, especially the way they're getting it here versus high school. A lot of times they're the guy on campus. They do whatever they want.
Exactly right. So it's kind of been adjustment periods for everybody, especially these Marvin Johnson or TJ at some point, or Keon Queen, or a lot of these other guys that have come in out of Coffeyville. But he really knows how to get these guys to buy in. And Coach Fisher he's just right there too. I mean, he knows how to resonate. Know how to get with the guys and kind of relate to them, because he's still kind of young too. He's not 50.
I'm gonna tell him you said he was kind of young. I'm gonna tell him.
You'll get me in trouble, man.
He lives in your house. He makes fun of me when I go run by, because he lives in the same neighborhood as me. Hey, he just, come on, Zach, stride through it. And he's seeing how pitiful I am when I go run. You've seen me run a little bit. It ain't looking good. I can't move that well. So I'm gonna tell him you said that.
Man, but it's really fun working with these guys, man. I definitely want to. That's one thing, and especially how we ended last year. We're on a mission, man. We are on a mission. We're really trying to get back and get a taste of that national tournament and trying to win a championship, man. We really want to win this championship. So we're far from that moment, that time, but we're heading in the right direction. Especially working with the staff that I work with.
Yeah, I think sometimes when you have a guy, especially in a small town, small college, everybody makes that joke, but like, Jay's the king of Coffeyville. He can do whatever he wants, right? And he still shows up to work as many hours as he did when he got here.
Prime example of discipline, man. He comes here, gets to the office, works out, gets back to work, goes to lunch, comes back, get ready for practice, stays a bit, watches a film, does it all over again.
And it's something that his assistants have been great throughout my time. I remember being one of those kids in Coach Jay's basketball camp, and I just going through, and even some of the players come back and are an assistant for a little bit and everything like that. So it's kind of a family-ish environment, and I think that sometimes when you got here, was it a little bit weird stepping right into that kind of, because Coach Fish had been here 5-6 years at that point, and you're the new guy. Was it weird when you got here?
I don't think so, man. Just because how I'm very outgoing, and I'm very, I like to meet people, shake people's hands, and kind of build relationship with people. So, just to touch on the comment you made about family environment here, that's one thing that stood out for me when I first got here. Especially when we had our first event in regards to, being with the donors and players and kind of mingling. It was a family environment. And that's one thing that I got when I was at New Mexico State. First time getting there, and Coach Menzies invited me to a basketball banquet at the time, and I got to meet some donors, meet some assistant coaches, some players at the time. And it was just a really good environment where I felt welcome, and I felt welcome when I got here, so that makes everything, the transition to a new place, a lot more smoother and easier.
Well, I think, and you might have to correct me on this, we've already seen my memories a little bit off here, but I think the first time I really met you was at the faculty-student basketball game. Really got to. I mean, because I knew you were, but I think it was the first time I got to.
Yeah, man.
And I remember you were obviously just as nice as you are now, and everybody's having a good time. It's a fun event. I wasn't real thrilled I was gonna have to run and all that stuff.
Hey man, I gotta give you props, man. You was hitting some shots. Some students were like, "Yo, who is he? Is he a faculty member?" Like, some students definitely did not know who you are. You definitely played well, man.
Because I think some of those people were in my class, so we got a problem with that. But no, that's a fun event. And I remember just immediately you could just tell me, oh, this dude can play, and that's when I was like, where'd you play? Or because you were obviously associated with basketball and everything, and Coach Shark doesn't bring in people who don't know what they're doing, right?
Absolutely not.
But it was a lot of fun, and I just remember talking to you, and I think Steve, Coach Harrell, after the game, and it was just like, yeah, you fit. And it was just kind of, and that event is a lot of fun.
Oh, no question.
Hopefully
man.
Next year I'd like to film it just to get that out there, because we packed that gym and
it was fun, man. I know the students get tired of us as faculty members, so it's their time to kind of get physical, take out the anger in a way, and same for us a little bit.
Yeah, and it's just good to run up and down.
Good competitive, nature.
Well,
so.
not every campus has a national championship winning coach, and Delise doing PA work on the sideline.
True.
Not everybody gets to have that.
No question, man.
So it's something that I just know that sometimes small communities can kind of seem tough to break into, but it seems like you were able to jump right in. Again, going back to that story I just told, I was like, oh yeah, this guy. I was immediately. I was like, yeah, I get it. And that was I think that takes place our homecoming week is like right before basketball starts. So a couple weeks later, you guys have got your non-con games going and everything like that. And then I was able to kind of follow you're the team, obviously, as the broadcast guy, but even just being on the sidelines, just watching you guys coach and everything. And it just seems like you didn't miss a beat jumping right in and being part of Coffeyville.
Yeah, man, it's been a true blessing being a Red Raven. I take pride in it. I mean, I'm gonna, do my best every time. And I am a product of Coach Herkelman. I'm a product of this school. So I'm going to do my best every single time.
And that's something that we talked about, leadership, giving that back to the players. And it's summer. So everybody, look, I know we want to go 100% all the time, right? Mm-hmm. And as, you know, I'm contract. I got to be here and I'm working, right? Technically, this is my job. But it's something that sometimes in the summer you want to take it a little bit easy. So coaching in the summer, we got freshmen here on workouts. We got some sophomores that came back and are working on their game. And they're working, getting their grades done so they don't have to be as stressed about it this upcoming year.
Right.
How's the team looking? I mean, it's summer, so.
Right, and it is summer. So far we look good, man. I mean, these freshmen that are coming in, 7 of them, they're hungry. Good. I mean, they're really hungry, and I'm really impressed so far. Especially just based off before they got here, a lot of them were texting me, and I had a little group with some of the incoming freshmen, how excited they were to get started, and they're talking to each other already. So, so far it's very competitive, and they're definitely growing and maturing. I can't give you,
Right.
Can't give you no predictions just yet and see how things go, but
it's the middle of June.
Yeah, man. So things are looking good. Things are looking good right now, man.
I poked my head in a couple of practices, and they were moving. The little bit I saw, I think Coach Herc was in there. He wasn't yelling, so obviously.
Oh yeah, when these guys are, he doesn't do a lot of. When he let these guys go up and down, play 5-on-5 or 4-on-4, he doesn't really coach them. He just watches. It's the summer, man. He just wants to see how these guys do it on their own and just play without being coached. Now, if they're getting out of line, just talking too much, he'll step in and say something. And if he said it's getting ugly, I'll shut it all down. But it hasn't gotten to that part just yet.
Well, it would be...
Hopefully it doesn't at all in the summer.
Right. Competitive is good up to a certain point, right?
Absolutely.
And it's interesting. I talked to some of the guys a couple years ago just about... we got all those team pictures on the wall outside that gym. Mm-hmm. And it's like there have been a lot of good players coming before them. So, to think that you're going to be the best player ever in Coffeyville is kind of... We've had... Reggie Evans was an NBA player for a long time. He
13
came here.
Seasons, I believe.
A lot of All-Americans came through. TJ Washington, you mentioned. As a freshman, man, you walked onto campus, you could tell he was good. He could... And his passing skills, that's what got him to the next level, at the D1 level. But he wasn't an All-American his freshman year.
Yeah, I hear you. The growth, man. Yeah. The growth. I mean... JUCO does something to you. It humbles you. Just after my first year, I could see it, and not just with basketball and all these other sports that I see in these student athletes. It humbles you, it matures you, and I think that's vital in regards to growing as a student athlete and as a person. You kind of go somewhere you're not very comfortable with, a player you don't really want to be, but you accept it and you adapt, and you buy into whatever coach. Whatever school's asking you to do, and you just get it done, and you do your time here, and then you get out and you get to where you want to be, and you just grow from there. And I see why a lot of coaches from the D1 level do a lot of JUCO transfer, just because of their maturity and their growth and getting 2 years or a year of college basketball.
Yeah, and that's growing up as a person.
That's no question.
That's not working on a jump shot on your own time after practice when you're already tired. That doesn't necessarily just help your jump shot. That helps you 20, 30 years from now.
No question, man.
And playing in front of small crowds and stuff, you get to appreciate the crowds at all. And I'm biased because I grew up here, and I've always again, Coach Herc's coached here since I was 4. So I don't remember a time when he wasn't running the sideline. Right?
I hear you.
But it's something that. It's just, and it's kind of cool because sophomores get to be leaders for your schools. They're still underclassmen here. Man, they're the big shots. And, this will be your second year coming up. So is there anything, do you set personal challenges for yourself? Is there anything that you're wanting to do this year that you didn't have the opportunity or you weren't ready for this last year?
For sure, I wouldn't say I wasn't ready for, because I definitely was ready once I got a taste of it. It was definitely my recruiting. I just wanted to, network with some more coaches and definitely go out and get some top players, some good players, that players that coach really likes. The tough-nosed kids, the grinders, the physical kids, stuff like that. I definitely want to develop myself more as a recruiter. And also just improving my craft in different areas, man. Skill development, improving it, finding some more ways to kind of get guys to buy in and take pride in those skill workouts, those individual workouts. So just harnessing my little areas, and recruiting, player development, X and O's. Just want to improve in every single area, man. So my main goal really was just, I would say, is definitely improving as a recruiter.
Well, and recruiting is something I don't even know if they could teach you in college. Because that's just weird. Mm-hmm. And for me, I don't have to compete against anybody else. Or I'm not trying to win games. My program is we want to help you get an affordable education and do some broadcasting stuff. For you, you're recruiting against basically every other school in the nation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I will say the only thing I know is probably similar is the idea of being 26 years old, telling parents, I want to take care of your 18, 19 year old, because you have to, you're their older brother.
No question.
That's
no
weird.
question,
For
man.
me, that was.
I
weird.
understand that adjustment, or that role, I guess you could say, it can go other ways, man. Because some coaches, like at my age, can't, especially the ones that have played before, that were student athletes, can't really separate themselves from player coach. So it kind of affects them in regards to their relationship with the players. They'll see him as a friend more than they see him as a coach.
Right, because they're in the same family. We
played,
right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So with me not being a player, former player, it's a little tougher, but it isn't, just because, I can relate to some of these guys. Being in New Mexico State for 7 years at D1 Pro, I've got to see it firsthand what it takes. And a lot of these guys, you got to set the tone and set, a boundary, and make sure they don't cross it. If they cross it, you got to make sure you talk to them and address it immediately. Because if you don't, you keep letting it brush on the rug, they're going to keep doing it.
Right.
Because you get away with it one time, well, I think I could do it again.
It's an education.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like once you're there, though, once you earn the respect and everything like that, then you're good.
Oh, no question.
Then it's all
absolutely. And it's got to be respect on both sides. Respect is a two-way street.
Yeah, and that's something that a lot of people need to learn and continue to learn.
No question, man.
Everybody.
No
question.
question.
That's one of the best things you can learn in life. That's one of the best lessons you can get. And I don't know they put that in a whole lot of textbooks. But well, Coach, I got to say, I really appreciate you coming by.
Oh, no question. I appreciate you having me, man. This is fun. I feel legendary now that I'm part of the Zach Mitchell the broadcast right now. I wouldn't
put this on your resume. I will say, though, hopefully now next time a coach or a teacher or anybody's looking up Coffeyville, this podcast might pop up and they'll get a little better view of it, because this would have helped you a little bit, right? To know a little bit about the family.
Oh, yeah. No question.
I'll have to do some research on the coin flip thing. I'm gonna
it was Wikipedia, so I don't know. Maybe somebody went in there and changed it, but I definitely tried to do my research before I got here.
That's smart. That's smart for anything. That's smart for any job opportunity, any new place you're going. And Coffeyville's pretty different than LA or
no question
or New Mexico State. But again, I appreciate you coming by. I appreciate you being a part of the family here. And maybe next time we can talk a little bit more about expectations for the team. But again, this was just to get to know you, and I really appreciate you coming by.
No problem. Thank you, Zach. Appreciate it, man.
Yep.